Okay, welcome back to part 4 of the series of my experience with Mike Smith of Target Oil and Gas and drilling Bell County #1. Okay, so I left you off with we hit a pretty big well, a real big well, and everybody's happy. I leave the mountain to go into town and make a phone call, to call some pertinent people that I knew, that to share the good news that that this was a very, very big well, over 4 million cubic feet by estimate. And I was gone probably about an hour. I come back and I'm going to head back up the mountain to the well site. And when I do, lo and behold, there's Greg Smith, resurrected from the dead apparently. And I could tell even at a distance that something was wrong. The whole mood changed. I mean, it was very celebratory before, a lot of congratulations. You know, these drillers, you know, even though they don't have a financial stake in how big the well is, it's a very big pride issue for them to bring in a big well. I mean, it really is. Most of the time they don't get to see that. Very few times do they ever get to see something like that. So they're very proud of themselves, as they should be. But I could tell that the mood was definitely different. So I went up to Greg, who was actually the closest person as I came over to the crest, and I said, "Greg, what's going on?" He goes, "They want to kill the well." And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he said, "They're cowards." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "They're absolute pussies." And I said, "Greg," I said, what's going on?" And he said, "Well, you know, we need them to put the production pipe into that, and they won't do it unless they put water into the well to hold back the gas. And that could kill the well. That could ruin the fracture of the well." And which actually did make some sense to me. But at this point, I'm not, you know, I want to hear from these guys because I had a relationship with these guys, and you know, so I went up to the rig, the foreman. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Those crazy bastards trying to get us killed." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Listen," he goes, "this is a huge well." He goes, "You can produce this well just like this." He goes, "You don't need to run, you know, some small-ass production pipe." I don't remember if it was 2-inch, 4-inch, whatever it was. I think it was the 2-inch pipe. Maybe it was 4. I don't remember now. But anyway, he said, "It's very dangerous to do that." He goes, "One spark around here and this thing's going to go up." And he goes, "One of my guys accidentally drops a tool." He goes, this is just crazy." And they're leaving. He said, "We're out of here." And he said, "We called our boss in West Virginia," and he said, "Screw Target, get the hell out of there." So meanwhile, I'm just like, shit. You know, it isn't one thing, it's another. And meanwhile, one of the bigwigs from Phoenix Drilling Company shows up, and I went over there and I talked to him. Greg isn't talking to any of them. You know, he's off to the side. And they're packing up their stuff, and I said, "Look," I said, I don't know, really understand what's going on." I said, "But I know you guys are real good guys." I said, and if Mike Smith or Greg Smith or Target's done anything to piss you off, I hope you don't hold it against me or my family." And he said, "We don't." He said, "If you ever want to drill a well," he goes, "you call us." He goes, "But we'll never drill another well for Mike Smith or Target Oil and Gas." Okay, yeah, fair enough. Got his business card. Said, "All right, adios." And they took all their equipment out of there, and there was a hole like this that was just blown. I mean, it was like the back end of a jet aircraft. I mean, I can't remember how many feet high, but it was just unreal. And I've seen other wells that are being bled off, and this thing was like the mother of wells. And for 3 days, this hole in the ground just blew like there was no tomorrow. And finally, Mike Smith had contacted some yahoos. You should have seen these guys. These people were right out of Central Casting for The Hills Have Eyes. They got this service rig that looks like it's from 1948. The one guy's got a tattoo down his arm, looked like a prison tat, but it said "insane." And they're going to run this production pipe down this well. Which, you know, before Phoenix left, I asked him, I said, "What are the odds that something's going to go bad wrong?" And he said about 60%. And I said, "Well, I'd kind of like to watch them do this. Where should I be at?" He said, "Way the hell over on the other side of the highway would be a good spot for you." I'm like, But luckily, these guys did manage to run this down and get it capped off. Guys, for 3 days, I think about all that gas just gone. You know, like 4 million cubic feet a day. You know, so 12 million cubic feet of gas just into the air. So anyway, we get it capped off, and I'm expecting, you know, them to get this thing hooked up pretty quickly. Turns out that Mike Smith and Target never got a permit to drill under the railroad. In fact, what they should have done, common sense, drill under, get that all squared away, because you know you just don't get permits from the railroad like that. It just doesn't happen. It took them months and months to get a permit to drill underneath the railroad, because the company that owns the transportation lines, Delta Natural Gas, their transportation lines were on the other side of these railroad tracks, which wasn't all that far from the well, but you had to get a permit from them to drill underneath their tracks. And then, of course, you had to get with Delta to get their crew out there to hook up. And all this stuff just took forever and ever and ever. So I'm talking to a well expert, and he told me, he says, it's not a good thing to take a natural well like that and shut it in. He said, because what can happen is it can collapse the natural fracture, you know. And it was just a debacle. I mean, just an absolute debacle. And instead of using, you know, the engineer that they used to survey out the 4 well sites, they went with a guy. You know what? Anyway, I think I'm going to end the story here. There's a lot more to the story, and I'll probably do a part 5, but I'm really sick of talking about it at this point. I hope you've enjoyed these little segments. I've not slandered anybody. I have told nothing but the truth. I will leave it to those that have listened to this to make up their decision as to whether or not Target Oil and Gas and Mike Smith is a good company. I'll leave it to them. I won't make any judgments on that. But that has been my experience, and there's a lot more. And there'll be a lot more coming, but that's all I'm going to say right now. And I hope you have enjoyed it. And everybody out there, take care. And like I said, keep tuned, stay tuned.